This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all it counts to me. Goodbye and good night.
Hey, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd. Heard me out, Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Ho, ho, ho. How's it going?
Ho, ho, ho. For those that are listening only in podcast form, I suggest this week you go to the YouTube or you go to the Twitch and you look at the stream so you can see that Rich has like a Santa Claus effect over his face right now. That's what the ho ho ho's are for. He is Santa Claus this week. He is not, in fact, the Godfather. So this is what he's doing. This is what he's doing this week, and when the clips go up, you'll see it and enjoy. So man. I guess Christmas is right around the corner. We got some work to do as far as what we're gonna do with the award show this week and or next week or two, and then also like trying to preview World's End and the Sumo Hall for Stardom and also Wrestle Kingdom. But we'll end up figuring that out eventually.
We may have to come back with like an out of rotation show. Yeah, because like obviously next Monday is Christmas, so we're not going to do a show next week. Right. And the week after that is January 1st, so a lot of college football on that day. So probably we'll be back on the 2nd. Besides that, as James mentioned, we got FOH dropping this weekend. So no One Nation Radio, but you do get FOH, which is like a One Nation Radio and a half. So make sure you guys watch out for the PayHip link and all that. We appreciate you guys supporting every year. We also uploaded the 2022 FOH already on the feed this past week. And getting a lot of people like reaching out and definitely showing love in the YouTube comment section. I don't want to forget about our YouTube commenters that comment on the full shows. So appreciate you guys doing that and letting us know like the Carl Anderson rant was legendary and all this stuff. And that man was stealing money from multiple promotions. It was crazy. But besides that, you guys will hear Josh getting chopped at the end of this show. There's a lot, man.
Yeah, do we need to go into that? I don't think we ever talked about that.
Yeah.
It's nothing serious, but Josh has been training on and off pro wrestling for a while now, and I was made aware that he hates chops. Right, and this we started making the jokes with like CM Punk or whatever, and it was just me is like, you mean to tell me you bumping on your back and all that kind of stuff, and chops would bother you? And I played high school football, so therefore in the locker room full of teenage boys, and what are teenage boys doing? Stupid shit like chop each other in their bare chest for fun. So for me it was like that's some people did, right? You're like you're getting jazzed, caught you slacking, right? Caught you lacking, right? So I was like, it's just chops. What's the problem? He's like, I don't like chops. And then it was like, I want to chop this man so bad now because I'm really fucking good at chopping people. So I was like, I want to chop this man so bad, but he don't want to take chops. So you know, for years, or a few years now, he's been like, nah, I don't want no parts, And I used to always joke with y'all, like, you know, one of these days, I'm gonna get my ass in shape and I'm gonna train, and then me and Josh have a match, and he gonna have no choice but to take these chops. And I always fuck with him, and then I started getting in shape, and then Josh was like, and then we do the joke. I made the joke seem like it was more of a threat than a joke, right? So I don't know what happened. I was like, how do we make it to where Josh was? We were trying to come up with all sorts of ideas, or trying to rig things, try to like, because we do Secret Santa in our group. And we were trying to figure out how to rig this thing to where Josh is my Secret Santa, so he has to take these chops. So eventually, I don't know what happened. I don't know what mechanization happened, but in the middle of the show, he says, "You know what? I've had I've had 7 drinks already. I'm drunk as fuck. My Christmas present to all y'all is y'all get a chop." And I was like, "Me?" I didn't know this was so much my lucky day. So you got your chop in. Jeremy got his chop in. And man, if you hear the audio, you hear how I built it up. I was like, look, man, I've been waiting to chop you for a long fucking time. And all sorts of things. I was like, are you ready? Are you ready? And I was, I saw you out of come on. I was like, because he had the camera up. I was like, are you ready? Yeah. America, are you ready? And then I put my mic down and said, I'm about to chop the shit out of this white man. And then I did the whole Kibashi joint where like, shit like I was chopping hard one time, then I give it to him. And like, visually I chopped him harder than I thought. Visually I chopped him harder than I thought I did. But, yeah, it was still fun nonetheless. And, yeah. Hopefully we can continue that tradition every year. Every year I get to chop Josh one time in the chest. But, we'll see how that goes. It depends on how drunk we get him, I guess, next year.
Yeah. But I actually had James. I was James's Secret Santa this year. So I gave James, I sent something to the Boyd household, and he's going to open it live on air now. All
right. So before I open this, is this a real gift or is this shenanigans?
It's a real gift.
Is it really a real gift or am I already blown on camera in the middle of recording this in a live stream for the people? So, all right. So if this were a gag gift, I would have deserved it because I have sent gag gifts to friends in the past. I one year, I can't remember what year it was. Like a bunch of people, probably like a half a dozen people. I ended up getting like the clothes box for stuff, and it wrapped it up, and I had like the nice paper inside, whatever, for cushion, so they can open up the box, they can open up the cushion like they finna get a t-shirt or something, and they opened up that shit, and all they saw was fucking charcoal. Like I'm that kind of asshole. Like I've done that before.
I opened that shit, bro. I was heartbroken. I was like, bro, what kind of shit is this? I was like, bro, I thought you got this real shit.
Yeah, I felt bad because I came over to Rich's house, and Rich was like, thanks, man, I really appreciate it. And then he opened it, and the way he put on like he was so appreciative, I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to go. Rich laughed so goddamn hard, I was like, hey, all right, it worked. Because the way you see, like, bro, I wasn't expecting this, I'm so happy. And then he opened it, he laughed, I was like, oh boy, because that could go real bad if you really appreciating this gift, and I got you this gag gift, you evil motherfucker, I'm just an asshole. And I think, hold on, let's see what we got here. So I open up the box right now, and it is 3D art. Okay, it is Florida State wall art. And this is fun, and it's also a hint that Rich saying I need to put some shit on these walls. So I appreciate it. So yes. We'll put this up here somewhere in the background or whatever else. And we'll make this work. So Rich, I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. I'll probably put like a bookshelf or something beside it. I'll put this right here next to some books.
Nice.
Glad you like it. I've always been like, hey, in the picture, I got books somewhere around here, but like but they're not in shot right now. So these are the books I normally have in shot or out of shot. If you can see, put it up close to the camera.
Let's see. Books. See, it's backwards. So I see this.
Okay, so Roxanne Gabe, Bad Feminist, a book of Dr. King speeches, this book of WWE rules, right? That Daniel Bryan's on the forward of, Moxley's book, and The hardcover of the 1619 Project. So, those are just some of them. Like underneath that is the Doc Chad Smith's WrestleMania Rivalry book as well. Yes, the Monster book is very, very good. That like made me even more of a fan of his than I was before. And Bill Simmons' book of basketball. And Shea Serrano.
I got some books too. I got some books here too.
Yeah, okay, I see you got the Bret Hart book. I see that.
Yeah, big ass pink book. Larry Madison, 50 greatest professional wrestlers of all time.
Remember when we first read that before we even before we even started listening to Observer?
Yeah,
like why does he have Sean so low?
Yeah,
and everything, and we had no idea that like this is also like a person that was like one of the better bookers in the history of pro wrestling.
Coach
one of the better minds in the history of pro wrestling because of St. Louis. It was interesting.
Chad Matthews' book. I got Jay Dilla's book down there.
I didn't know Jay Dilla had a book.
Yeah, or like a big it's like gigantic. It's called like Dilla Time or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it right here, but it's pretty dope. So
okay, it's kind of obscured because of the filter you have on, but I do see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, man, definitely. Thank you so much for the FSU art. I'll put it up. I'll get that by next show. We do.
No doubt. Got the Nipsey Hussle book, Life and Times of Nipsey Hussle.
Is that an official deal, or is that
it's like it is after he died. A guy named Rob kind of wrote it, and it's like a very detailed biography.
Okay.
So,
yes, Brett's book is long. Like Brett, how long is that? Like 500 pages?
Brett's book is longer than a giraffe neck, bitch. Like that shit is the wrestling Bible. I feel like
I remember you said that to me before. Yeah,
because
he remembers like basically everything.
It's like every story you ever wanted to know, or his opinion on somebody, or whatever. It's all there.
He wrote that shit. He was like, "I ain't going back for another one. This it."
Right. There's no reason for him to ever like do anything else. Like that was it. That was the final contribution to the business. Well, except niggas just stealing from him like religiously, but yeah, man. I guess we should probably get into the topics. So glad you like the gift, and
thanks,
like,
man.
So, Kenny Omega news broke. I think it was Friday, or
something like that.
It was It was Thursday,
late in the week. Yeah.
So, like, he had a segment with Chris Jericho that with Big Bill and Ricky Starks, it did not go well. It was something. It was like, I thought there were parts of it that was funny, but I was like, yo, what is wrong like here? Like, it just seemed like they sent him out there with no plan.
Right.
And then it was like, well, I don't know what this is all about or why this is going on like this. And I was just like, wow, like something's not right here. Like, and it was like, I don't know what was going on. News came out. Yeah, Kenny Omega has diverticulitis, and I was just like, fuck. Like, first, he sends a tweet out, basically announces that he's out indefinitely, doesn't know when he's returning. He's from a hospital bed. He looks like he's been up for a really long time. And I saw this, and I was just like, at first there was no diagnosis, and then the first thing I saw was like the doctors caught it early, and I was like, cancer? Like I was like immediately like, assuming the worst or whatever. And I heard the diverticulitis thing, and I was still just like heart sunk. Like just like I don't really know too much about diverticulitis except that Brock Lesnar had it.
Right. And that's what most wrestling fans know it as like it fucked Brock Lesnar really bad for a long time. So a lot of people initial thoughts are the wrestling fans are like, oh shit, that's the shit that Brock was out for a minute. This fucked him up. And like, is that potentially like another long hiatus for Kenny Omega?
Yeah. And I'm just like, wow. Like, and then this is like fresh off, he wrestled a match against Ethan Page last week, kind of under these conditions or whatever, or symptoms. Soldier through anyway, made the next town. He went out there and like, I don't know if like he was being, worked on or anything like that. He had any side effects because he sounded a little loopy in the ring. But I was just really sad, man, and it was just like I hope that like my favorite wrestler ever didn't just get like the rest of his like prime like robbed from him. Like not even your like you can say yes your body betraying you or whatever because like obviously like he's fought through like the physical injuries and everything or whatever. He came back and he's still had some of the greatest matches this year that we've ever seen. Yeah. And I saw this and I was just like, this is going to be very hard to talk about. And if he's like never the same wrestler again, sad is an understatement. And there's back channel stuff I can't really go into, like that, people are telling a friend that's telling a friend that's, telling, people, but
yeah, it's a game of telephone has been irresponsible. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't think there was any surgery. I think Dave was talking about it or anything, which is like good, but it really struck me that was like, yo, if he didn't come in when he did, like it would have been a major issue.
Yeah. And that's one of the things when you hear about like people's prognosis with diverticulitis. Like, for example, my mom had it actually, and I actually mentioned this to you, like, when we found out it was diverticulitis with Omega, was like, when we were in New Orleans for WrestleMania week in 2018, my mom actually went to urgent care, or not urgent care, but what do you call it? Like the walk-in shit that, like, when you don't want to go to ERs because you don't want to take the bill, but it's same thing. I think it's urgent care, whatever. But she went in and she ended up actually having diverticulitis. And like the thing is, like, the recovery time is, if you have no complications, is faster than you think it is if you're a wrestling fan like us and things like, the Brock Lesnar thing. But obviously, you don't know how it is, but they said they caught it early, so it could be that he's out for a month, but compared to, or 2 months or whatever. But compared to out for a year like Brock, I'll take that 9 times. I think everybody else would too. So we'll see how it goes. We hope that, and as they say, they caught it early. Hopefully, like everything works out well, and we see Kenny Omega healthy, and if he's healthy, back in the ring sooner rather than later. I kind of, for people that don't know, I was like, that's kind of the thing. The Brock thing was rare. That's more of an exception than a rule. So, but that's all we think about because that's all we know. So, hopefully he'll be in better or health wise in the future, like sooner than later. So that's all I can really hope for. And the wrestling part, that's secondary right now. Like the main thing is like that dude was out there in front of a live audience and he was fucked up and he wrestled like a week ago.
Yeah, and he was set to wrestle this week as well.
Do you know what the match was supposed to be?
No, I don't know what the match was supposed to be yet, but it's just like, fuck. Like, hopefully, when he's back, and I'm just gonna take that, approach with it. He'll be back. This was not the most interesting year for Kenny Omega, right? There was just a lot of like, where does he fit in here? Why? I've talked about his presentation and, the other stuff besides, the awesome resume and matches that, he's given us. And I was just, like, well, I guess there's one last thing, like, like they've got to, when he comes back, like, it's like, yo, he's got to make it to the top. Like, they've got to, give him the quote unquote one last, one last ride to the championship, the Tanahashi Wrestle Kingdom, the Tetsuya Naito right now, like they got to do it. Like, this guy, I feel like they've taken him for granted for far too long. And this is another reminder that people can be yanked off of this roster in a fucking heartbeat. And, let's keep it a stack. Like, I just don't know what the plan has been or was going to keep, being with him. So, from a wrestling standpoint, that's at least how I feel about it. Obviously, from a human standpoint, hope he, beats this thing and he's able to resume training, because that's like, usually where you figure it out, like where you're at. Because, last time he was out like that, he was, talking about the training, and, he really struggled with that, and he was having setbacks, and he talked about not wanting to go through that again. So hopefully he doesn't retire or anything. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Other news. Kazuchika Okada.
Hold on. No. You could do the other news or whatever. It's gonna be funny when you clip this stuff up, because we just did a serious topic. You got this fucking Sandman stuff on your face. That's
yes.
But now move on to talk about Okada.
Yeah, Kazuchika Okada. So last week I did a segment, or I don't know if it was last week. It was a solo show I did, and no, it wasn't last week. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I talked about Kazuchika Okada. And this new kind of story that's dropped about him considering leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. And over the weekend, some rumors started gaining lots of traction. Originally, by the Super J-Cast, doing the tweets. Chris Sampson weighing in, and these guys are pretty plugged in. I mentioned Barry Bloom on the show 2 weeks ago on this show. I was like, look, it could have been Will just like saying, hey, they giving away bags over here, bro. You need to holler at Mr. Barry and see what Mr. Barry can do for you, Kazuchika Okada. I mentioned that when you sign with Barry Bloom, it is not likely, and I'm not saying Okada has signed with Barry Bloom or anything, but the rumor is that Bloom is definitely lurking around right now. Mm-hmm. I did not get you weighing in on this whole Okada might actually leave New Japan thing.
Uh-huh.
What do you make of all this, James? Because this is like, I got a couple jokes to make. Before we get to my jokes and all that, I'll hand it to you first.
It just seems kind of odd. Like, I would see why Okada would want to come here and wrestle here. But I don't see why, other than the challenge of doing it, why he would want to come over here and wrestle full time in America. I feel like his whole entire life is on the other side of the world. If he can find some type of, place where he can work in between, he can still do New Japan and AEW, and he can be basically like a big match guy for AEW. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense than like he's here every week, or he's here every other week, or he's here every 3 weeks. That seems a bit much. To me, he seems more like he would fit more AEW as a special attraction guy than a actual person on the roster, because there's already so many mouths to feed as it is already anyway. Regardless of the part where, like, I think he's the greatest wrestler ever, that still is another mouth to feed. And there's tons of matches to reel off here you have on pay-per-view and all that kind of stuff. His English is not strong at all, right? He's a person that's like, he can memorize something to say, but he's not, but he's not going to be a promo in that way. Like, if they're going to actually bring in New Japan wrestlers for real the whole time like this, and like, I'm looking at the struggles they've had with like some of the Joshi, and obviously with Okada, they're going to try a lot harder, which is helpful. It should trickle down to the women that have been here and have had struggles trying to get their stories across that aren't as fluent in English as Shida is. But at the same time, like, it's going to be a struggle regardless, and there's always going to be resistance, because like there's this fucking group of American wrestling fans that do not want to read subtitles and they're just lazy as fuck, and it's the same things, the same struggles we saw for all these years and decades with Japanese wrestlers in America. So, I feel like it'd be a much easier thing if like he was able to just go back and forth between the two promotions. But if he's over here all the time, I think it'll be successful, because I think anything he does was going to be successful for the most part. And the level of buy, and Tony Khan would make sure it will work, right? But I just have a lot more questions than actual answers of an AEW of, you put in somebody of that stature and you plug them in and they don't speak the language. Like when it's Takeshita or it's Bandito, you just say, go out there, have your match, and then we'll get back to another match, another point, and it's all fine. You can't do that with somebody that's, you can't necessarily do that with somebody of that stature, right? Like, it's one thing when it's Takeshita and it's DDT. It's another thing when it's like, it's Okada, you know? So, I'm interested to see, it just leaves a lot of questions of like how this fit will work and if it was WWE because they had Nakamura, you'd be like, well, we know what he would do and that wouldn't be satisfying at all. But at least we know, but at least we have a known there.
Like WWE's not out of this thing because they want it bad too, but I just don't, like when you get Barry Bloom involved, chances are WWE's not happening. Right.
And then you think of like all the people that he's ever worked with, most that are in one of the major or in WWE or in AEW, most of them are in AEW.
Right. Like there's a couple people in WWE, but it's like you know, the roots are way more established in AEW already.
Right.
You know, there was a lot of like interesting reactions to this. There were absolute meltdowns going on. There were
as there should be. Is one of the two biggest stars in New Japan Pro Wrestling is going to leave for America. It is a cause for panic. Look, it absolutely is, especially given like the job that they did not do in the second half of 2023, like working on those new stars you were trying to build up to get to those levels after like Okada more or less punked them all in Sonata, you know, throughout the year. And also Naito at points too.
All I'm told, James, is how well everything's going. How, you know, there are allegedly going to be 40,000 people in the Tokyo Dome and all this stuff, you know. So, you know, if Kazuchika Okada walks out the door, everything should be just fine. Look, shouldn't it be, James?
No,
everything should be just fine. You can build around Evil. You can build around the fucking House of Torture. You can get your Tetsuya Naito Ace run. You can let several corny sounding motherfuckers rise up like David Finlay. Like, what do you mean? There's plenty of an embarrassment of riches that are going on right here. Not Yoda Tsuji, not doing nothing with Shingo Takagi.
Right. Look, I get what you're saying, and I agree. There has been a lot of people being defensive about like that being the main event of the Tokyo Dome, even though it's like, look, man, y'all are Naito fans. No one's arguing about Naito being in the main event. We're talking about the guy he's facing that's opposite of him in the ring. That's the issue. But like, you know, it would have been great. Let's just go back.
It would have been great if they used their G1 to elevate one of their young people. Yeah. To do something with Yoda Tsuji.
They all had to lose to Sonata in the same block.
To do something with Shota Umino, to not end Ren Narita's career prematurely by putting him in a house of torture.
Yeah. That was just recent too. Look, just ultimately, do you think about it? Like, look, the 40,000, however many tickets and how well they're doing is one thing. The problem is the reality, which is like, okay, Wrestle Kingdom 9, Okada versus Tanahashi. Wrestle Kingdom 10, Okada versus Tanahashi. Wrestle Kingdom 11, Okada versus Omega. Wrestle Kingdom 12, Okada versus Naito. Wrestle Kingdom 13, he's not in the main event, but then you get to 14 and then he's back in the main event. Then you get to 15 and he's back in the main event. Then you get to 16, I can't remember what the double domes are at that point in time, but then last year he's in the main event again. And it's like, he is like in the Roman Reigns thing where it's like, he's in the main event of your biggest show every single fucking year. And now it seems like he may be out the door. That is cause for concerns.
We have to ask, what is going on with Bushi Road?
Yeah,
what is happening? And this is between Stardom and New Japan.
Yep.
What's going on backstage that they're not telling us?
Yeah.
What is making Kazuchika Okada make inquiries in America? I want to know. Like what's the nigga name? Who's saying that shit? Joe? I want to know what's going on.
That was Joe. Yes, it's Joe. Yes, it's Joe.
Yeah, I want to know whatever the fuck is happening because something's not right. And like, like if this is a case where New Japan's just fucking broke or whatever, all right, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I feel like they will find the money. They will find the yen. You know, we talk about the yen being down.
Right.
They will find it for Kazuchika Okada. But if it's a
you would think so. Like, but then there were stories a couple years ago that like Naito during the pandemic took a pay cut too.
Look, if it's me, Kazuchika Okada, I ain't taking no fucking pay cut. There's Tetsuya Naito, and then there's me. Like, goddamn it, you can ask him to do that, not me. Not knowing what Mr. Barry can get from me.
I don't disagree. I'm just pointing out what the situation was at different points of time, right? And yeah, like the Bushiroad thing, and then you hear about like just like this last week as well, like.
He's got options.
Like Noah, All Japan, Stardom, Tokyo Joshi Pro, like 7 of them, like 7 or 8 different like promotions are all like getting together to do a super show to try to like
United Japan. It's like it's a whole alliance they formed to basically say,
and it's like
ain't nobody else starting up out here,
right? And it's like, hey man, it's a lot of belt tightening going on around here, and like we've been talking about that Joshi scene post pandemic for a while now, and it's just going number down, except for Stardom. And Stardom just basically is kind of just...
Bro, and it feel like they're not immune. Like
they're definitely not immune because they're also hurt because so many of the stars got injured in the second half of the year. And also, like, you know, there's all this conflict in Stardom with, like, the Bushiroad in their office is different from what the Stardom office originally was, and, like, what that has meant for the promotion on screen in the last year, and it's been different, and you see it on, you know, this year. Like, we've covered Stardom a lot less. I've been a lot less interested because it doesn't feel like what it was from 2019 through 2023, or 2022. So yeah, like it's, you know, you can say the same thing about New Japan, like for a while now, that is like, you know, ever since House of Swords came around. And like they basically, you know, came and went with the fumbling of Ibushi, like the fumbling of Ospreay, like when he had his title run, and like, you know, they were just kind of just like, all right, well, we'll just get it back to Okada, and then they put it back on Okada, and then like we'll put it on Naito, then they took it off Naito again, and like it's been a lot of weird things, like.
That Jay White title reign for no reason.
Yeah. Coming fresh off the pandemic, or fresh off of a hiatus when he won around. Yeah, it was that too. They've made a lot of mistakes at the top, but they've been able to do interesting things, and they still have, you know, the best big match wrestling in the world, bell to bell every year. But
they're just throwing out title lineages left and right and introducing new belts, and just like the things that mean things to people, they're disregarding them and saying, "Yeah, we're trying to build some new shit." And you know, is that the worst thing in the world? No, but like when you stack all of them on top of each other, the IWGP Global GHC, it's like, what the fuck does this belt mean? Like, and you know, it's like everyone thought they were pulling out an IC belt. They're not. It's like, you know, I would not want to see Kazuchika Okada leave New Japan Pro Wrestling. That shit would be tragic. Like, and it would be start the Dark Ages. Hold on, James.
Yes,
start the Dark Ages, stop the cap, and like start booking Wrestle Kingdom at fucking at Osaka Joe Hall at that point. Like, start figuring it out, because y'all ain't gonna be going to the Dome no time soon. Y'all gonna be out here looking at you know, some different venues, you know, less sizing, you know, hoping, praying, lying, Budokan Hall, you know, that's what y'all be looking at. Like, figure it out.
So, like, this year, because the year's not out. This year, I was in the Tokyo Dome on the first Tokyo Dome show of New Japan since Inoki passed away on October 1st, 2021. And for them to end that show with Okada at the top of the ramp, and he does the Inoki pose and playing the Inoki Bumae music, they go from that to a year later he leaves. That's a fucking
unbelievable.
That's like, what? That's like I couldn't. You could have told me a year. You could have told me a year ago that we were in a situation where like he may leave. What?
No, they cannot let this happen. Like they cannot let this happen because I will rake them over the coals for letting this happen. Like there's no reason. Like if Kazuchika Okada wants to do more dates and they want to and they're going through financial trouble right now and whatever. I don't know what's going on. I'm not privy to the book. I have not seen the books, James. Much like Joe Budden's podcast compatriots, I have not seen the books. However, if this is a case where it's like Tony Khan's like, yeah, we're your partner, we'll help you out, with his contract or whatever, and you give him to us like 10 or 12 dates a year or whatever, and he works most of his contract there or whatever, right? Look. Do that, but if it's a case where y'all let him out the door to go to WWE, and I guess from that point, if you're a New Japan fan, it's either is AEW or is WWE, and some people think this is equally as bad. Some people think this is I don't know how to say it, it's destructive on the part of AEW. I feel like should Okada become all elite, for example, we will learn quickly why that is. And it'll be there's serious business turmoil that is going on. There is an offer that, could not be refused or whatever. But it would be a sad, sad day. And quite frankly, the end of the era, officially, we're done with the golden era. That finished years ago, right? Yeah. This is completely close the book, essentially, not the chapters. The book is finished here. I Rambos, I did see people saying they would rather he go to WWE.
For what?
Yeah.
Seriously, for what? You'd rather see him go to WWE to do what? To go to NXT for 2 years? A year and a half? A year?
I don't think Triple H would send him to NXT, but...
They sent Nakamura to NXT, Rich.
Different NXT then. They were trying to do... They had a whole, strategy then that is not in alignment with what their NXT strategy is now. I think that's just a lot of cope, and that's a lot of I hate AEW coming from these people. And,
well, Kenny Omega, Ospreay.
Hey, these are all people they hate. These are all people they don't like.
I don't think there is overlap between all these different people that watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, but they start the partnership, and then their wrestlers show up and they do jobs over more than they win, and then they come over to Tokyo, or AEW come to New Japan, and then they lose, and then now the wrestlers are leaving New Japan and coming to AEW. There's a right to feel resentment. If you're hey man, we don't even get treated like a fair partnership. We out here getting treated like how we used to treat ROH. We can hold.
Real tears, like Jack Perry says, real glass, real tears. Let me see them cry.
Oh man,
real tears. But yeah, man. They would rather they would rather have Kazuchika Okada doing jobs to the Miz. Kazuchika Okada working with Tony D'Angelo. Kazuchika Okada versus Grayson Waller. Let's do it.
Can I just get can I just get Okada versus? How would they change it? What would they change his name to?
Would they let him keep his name? That man's name would be Yen Rain or some shit.
No. Because they'd be Kazuchika, how do you pronounce it? That's too tough. You'll keep Okada, but you got to change it to some other. Did they just call him Kaz Okada or something like that?
Kaz Okado.
They wouldn't do. Okado was the shit he was in TNA, right? They can't do that.
Look, they named that man Otani. God damn it, Dr. Lariat. Yes, they would. Just like Apollo Crews. Or Carmelo Hayes. They would definitely name that man something Otani. Yes.
Oh my god.
Kaz Otani, you can keep
All right,
the KO, all that shit.
all right.
Oh my god, this is
scrolling
sick.
up further
This
for
is
some of the
disgusting.
stuff talking about like the new if like Okada leaves, like where are they gonna be in the dome or where are they gonna do Wrestle Kingdom
Yes,
at?
KBS Hall.
At Tokyo Dome. Look, man, I saw someone say they're gonna do it at fucking the Gato Move shit. They gonna do it at Ishikawa Chocolate Square. I'm like, yo, that's gross.
That's crazy.
Zach nasty ass said they're gonna do it at Shinjuku. At Shinjuku Face or whatever. I was like, and then like, luckily, no one said Shinkiba first ring.
First
like,
ring?
If and do it, they're gonna do it at the fucking. They're gonna do it out by the docks. They're gonna do it in the fucking garage with no AC. You nasty bitches. Don't do that.
Wait till we get Wrestle Kingdom in Fukuoka. You know, way the fuck out there.
On the other side of the island.
Yeah.
Way over there.
Black Saber Jr. TK pulling the Terrence Howard meme. Do you need some money?
Yeah.
Oh man, sick.
Could Tony Khan buy New Japan to stop this from happening? Not that he like, not to say that he's a savior.
I mean,
like,
he could.
Like, you buy it and then like you let the same people, you let their office run on how they were running it.
So like the Mark Cuban Mavericks deal. Like, yeah, you know, y'all can buy it from me, but I'm gonna still be in charge.
Brew said Triple H gonna enter a new level of racism. Sir, this is WWE. That's a high bar. That is a high bar.
They're
like,
definitely
depending on how old you are, there's
time.
racism you have yet to see from them olden days that you don't realize was there. Like,
bro, the unveiling of Akeem is quite frankly, the most
deepest,
racist
darkest
shit.
Africa.
Is quite frankly some of the most racist shit I think I've ever seen in any media. I've watched movies that have the Ku Klux Klan in them that were less racist than this. Like, had these niggas dancing around looking like the Thriller video, like, and like they're playing like drums and they got trash cans on fire. It's nighttime. Gene Okerlund is out there. Slick is out there talking a million miles an hour, and all of a sudden, fucking one man gang comes up. You know, doing the hands and shit. You know, one man gang can't do them hands. That's just like Julian. You know, the hands and shit.
Julian's doing it to articulate a point that he's making. Like, it's almost like Italians talking with their hands. Akeem the African Dream was not doing that. He was doing jive because he's making fun. Yeah, he's making fun of Dusty Rhodes, which is. Whatever.
Yes, a problem in itself.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. It's brick on brick of problematic on top of foundation of problematic. Yes.
Yo, some of the younger listeners, if you have not seen, I'm sure it's on YouTube. They type in WWF Akeem debut, like. You will never, ever see no shit like this now.
When your boy came out and had Black Favor versus Bad News Brown, wasn't that his retirement match?
No, that wasn't his retirement. The quote unquote original retirement match was against Adrian Adonis at WrestleMania 3, but he just kept coming back a bunch of times. Yes, Triple H loved him some Nazi iconic type, imagery and type that kind of shit, but crosses, like those were like the same cross that were on those Nazi planes in World War II. But yeah, man. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Do not, and I mean do not let Kazuchika Okada out the door.
You spent a whole damn decade building them up. You can't. No.
That was just, imagine like Tanahashi looking at him, right? And being like, yo, I set this whole thing up for you. And like, who you set it up for? No one.
Who did I set it up for? They ain't let me set it up for nobody.
They ain't let me set it up.
They told me I need to go out there and beat all them young dudes.
Yep. Like, maybe it's not Okada that he would be talking to. He'd be walking in the office. Tanahashi would be walking bow-legged into the office to Gato.
That part. You didn't have to mention that last part. That was unnecessary. That was uncalled for. That's a cheap shot.
So I gave you the end of my prime and post-prime making this guy the fucking legend, and y'all let him walk out the fucking door. What's wrong with y'all?
Well, Tanahashi, when he first saw Naito, he thought Naito was going to be the guy, and then Naito was like, "Oh no, it's going to be Okada." So Naito, now it's time for Naito to live up to the promise that Tanahashi saw in him. Time for him to finally live up to that.
It's your time.
Yeah, let's see it.
Absolutely sick. We got questions.
Look, when Naito reel off this 2-year run of excellence, we're gonna have to eat it. Back against the wall. That's all he got. That's all we got. Is Tetsuya Naito. I'm willing to prove me wrong. I'm willing to prove it.
He's let me be right a lot.
That's true. That's true.
That man, that man is not fighting me. That man is fighting against his knees and Father Time. We are not the opponent.
Our reason for us thinking that he's not on the level, he's a level just below them, is like just the history of what we've seen. Like he's just not as consistent as some other guys. He just hasn't. His popularity he's just popular. He's more popular than all of them, but that's not the point. So, yeah, man. Perk Naito. I did it. I don't know what happened if they caught him with a perk in that country.
Shot on sight, and they don't carry. Look, and they don't carry guns, James.
Speaking of that,
they will find a gun to shoot him with.
Speaking of drugs in pro wrestling, you hear the rumor about Riddle. Riddle says he wants to go to Japan, and I was like,
"Oh yes,
brother, you won't make it back. Your ass,
Pro Wrestling Noah, come on down." But yeah, I could easily see Riddle in New Japan too. It definitely working the New Japan and America stuff. And look, there's some advice for Matt Riddle. Don't bring it on the plane. Whatever it is, don't bring it. Now, look, don't bring no weed. Don't bring no paraphernalia. Don't bring no sex toys. Nothing. Don't bring it. Like they don't want none of that over there. They don't want none of that. What is that? All of that. They don't want it on that side. Stay away. Keep the foolishness here.
You got it. I'm not finna add on to whatever you just said. I'm just here to just nod and be like, okay, can we move on now? This man said sex toys. Unbelievable. So you mean to tell me that
nothing? You got to go over there and be about the work.
You really think Matt Riddle? Well, I can't say in his right mind because I don't know what the hell that is. You think Matt Riddle will get on the plane and bring over a bag of kit? Like the 8-Ball MJG Living Legends skit. He gonna bring a bag of kit. Dildos, oils, vibrators, 6 feet dicks or whatever. No, I don't know, man. I don't know, but I did not know that Matt Riddle was trying to get back in the quote unquote fucking game in such a way.
We look, y'all know them stories. That's out there about Riddle. So like. That man bought it all. Like I said, Riddle, do what you do. Do it here at home. They ain't playing that game on that side. Man.
I did not know that he was getting down. Like I heard about he was out here for for handicap matches or whatever you want to call them, or multi-person tags. But I did not hear anything about a such thing about like he was out here trying to kick it like he was Fred Smoot on the Minnesota Vikings sex boat. I did not hear about that. I did not. What? Bro, I remember when that story came out, I was like, bro, why did they single out Fred Smoot and him being specifically the person with the dildo? Why was he the only person that was mentioned to have the dildo? I don't understand. I'm confused. Why was he mentioned? Why was he the only one mentioned? Why was that the only one? Why was that the only toy there? What happened? Was that his toy? Did he bring? No one asked any questions. I had tons of questions when I was like, I think I was like in 7th, I think it was in like 11th grade. I had all these questions like, what? You got all these details. I want more details on these details.
Like I said, Riddle, do what you do. I don't care about what you do. I just don't want you arrested.
All right.
They don't play that.
Yeah.
They don't play it over there.
They do not.
No games.
They do not.
Look, you go over there, you wrestle, you fall on the ground, and then you take your ass back to the hotel. That's what you do.
Oh shit! What Wasabi King said? Couldn't you get it all at a donkey? Oh my god!
Jesus.
Like you know what a donkey in Japan is, right? Like it's like one of those like it's almost like a dollar store / like a place you can get all sorts of crazy shit for cheap. So he's like, you sure you can't get the sex toys over at the donkey? Hey man, I don't know what the fuck they got. I wanted to go to one, but I never found time to go to one. But to see all the kind of weird shit I could find or whatever else, or whatever I could like buy for cheap as a gift to bring back, I just never got around to it or whatever. But yeah, man, like Riddle, just keep your nose clean, man. Keep your nose clean if you can go over there. Don't cause no more problems you already caused in the wrestling business. Just go over there, wrestle, and come the fuck back.
This show is going off the rails.
It has.
Let's get to these questions, man. I opened the mailbag because I wanted to talk to the people, give them a chance to ask some stuff. So Bruce, longtime listener, says, "How upset will you be when the devil turns out to be Don Callis?"
Why did he say that shit?
Bro, I saw that question. I was like, that would just be so unbelievable. It'd be like, hold on. Why would it be Don Callis? It's like he was doing something completely
just to get fucking heat.
Yo, that would be sick. That would be absolutely sick. I'm on the second floor of my house right now. I would consider looking out the window and checking the distance.
That would be like so random.
Yeah. So Black Saber Jr. He says, with how great he said, first, hope y'all in the Social Suplex people are doing well. With how great the Continental Classic, aka the AEW Championship Carnival, has been, any improvements would you like to see from it going into next year? I gotta say. Go ahead, James.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I think they should do a better job, playing their promos post-match during the shows if they can. I remember when after AEW, the first one, 2019, Double or Nothing aired, and they had Moxley, after he laid out Jericho in Omega, they had this promo where he walked to the back and then he just went off, right? And that's kind of been in the vein of a number of his promos over the years. And I thought that it worked really well of you're catching a glimpse of reality in quotation marks around it, of the character post whatever the experience was in the ring or at ringside or all around or in glass or in hell in the case of Moxley. And I think that some of these promos that he's done, and a lot of wrestlers have done it makes me think of those, when they're just in the back and they're basically kind of licking their wounds post match and they're, coming off the thrill of winning or the agony of defeat or the feeling of they barely scraped by and how draining this whole experience has been on them. And to see all these characters go through this is this is why I like pro wrestling. This is what sports gives you, the reality of going through a whole season of football, except you actually get access to these people in they're trying to give you vulnerability as opposed to in football, no one's gonna, they're not supposed to, in theory, they could, but they won't do that, right? To show you what happens to a fighter going through fights in battles and scrapes and all that kind of stuff. This is the part of the character stuff and the storytelling that they're giving people. And I think that's why people that didn't know this is what you can do have enjoyed it so far. It's because that's a cool thing about pro wrestling is it gives you what boxers or UFC fighters or football players can give you without the front of having to be so macho. They can show you the wares of battle. They can show you what's going through their minds. They can give you a glimpse into their disappointment or all that kind of stuff. And I think it's been really cool. So I wish they could spotlight more of that. But outside of that, no notes. This has been an incredible tournament.
The C2, quite frankly, has been a gift from God for this promotion.
It's been the best. It's the creative success of the year for them, easily.
This is has been so great. And you know, one thing that I like about it that I did not like originally, I think not announcing the matches has actually like kept people engaged in this thing, because you're like, all right, what's going to be next? And then you get the match announcement and the hype just like keeps building. There's no like seemingly dead point. There are no holes in the bracket. I want them to keep it at 12 guys. It's got to be kind of prestigious to be in this thing. It's like, yeah.
The point you just made about them not announcing, I think that kind of clicks for me as far as, because you look at the bracket, kind of like, okay, what's next? And then you go through the wares and you're like, okay, this has been a good show, this has been a good show, this has been a good show. And it's one thing when like you see the bracket and you're like, all right, even when you knew the stuff, when you watch a Grand Prix or you watch a G1 or even a Carnival, and you just know best Super Juniors, you see the slate of all the matches and you're just like, all right, this date when it's going to be real serious. 6, everybody, every wrestler has a match on the card, because there's only 3 matches. Or if you're basically going like, except for that one show when they put an Andrade match, so they could basically put him in the CMLL that same week, this week anyway. It's basically like, all right, you're getting a Swerve match, you're getting a John Moxley match, you're getting a Jay White match. On Collision, you're getting a Danielson match, you're getting an Andrade match, and you're getting a Kingston match. Regardless of whoever it is, that's what it is. So like, you have somebody in place there that you care about, or is someone that they're trying to spotlight in certain position, whatever, regardless. And even the people I didn't mention, the other 3 people that I didn't mention on each show, like where they get in and where they fit in, has been fun. And then you see like, oh, this is a crucial, what do you call it? A high leverage point of the tournament for like, all right, Brody versus Danielson this week.
Incredible.
They're both at the top of they both are threats to still get in. So it's like whoever wins like is going to actually seem like it could be a lot to get in, right? Like, or that's how I felt, right? So it was really cool in that way to see them not announce it. But then like once we for me, it was like once we got past the week or last week when we got the Swerve in Moxie match, it was like, okay, you already know where we're coming down to. Like, that like, there's a Danielson and Brody match. There's a Danielson and Claudio match. That there is a Moxley and Jay White match left, right? There is a Roosh and Swerve match left. Like, we're getting to nitty gritty, and I don't need to know when it's announced, but I know it's coming. And like, that's one of the most fun things about like, when you get to like the closing stretch of this tournament, of these round robin tournaments, is like the way when you don't think about it, like you see, quality match here, quality match there. And then you look at the end and you're like, oh, like the final stretch is kind of backloaded.
Right. And I would say the improvements I would make are like nothing to do with like the actual like tournament itself. It's like everything is on the outside of it. It's like the pageantry side. Like we need like props. Like obviously they're giving out the belts and stuff, and the belts are going to be on the line next year and stuff like that. We need a big ass trophy or a flag. We need a press conference. Either a mid tournament press conference or like a pre-tournament press conference. The photo shoot. These guys need fucking plaques or whatever. Be like, yeah, I made it into the tournament or whatever, because I was selected for this. Mm-hmm. And like, we need people like, I think, like if you're not gonna uphold the legacy they set for this thing, like you don't need to be in the C2. This does not need to expand to a goofy amount of people to where,
because this thing has to fit for TV. That's the main thing. It needs to fit for TV, and like coming up with that number where there's 3 matches every single week for you to look forward to that's going to involve this thing, and it builds upon each other every single week. That's enough. You can't do 4. It's too many, because you got to have a woman, because in theory you have to have a women's match at some point and a tag match or trios match to make this, to justify it, and maybe even a special, tag match to add to,
like you'll get a title defense, like you'll get like Orange Cassidy.
That's what I mean.
Brian Keith. You'll get Kenny Omega against Ethan Page, in addition to your other matches. So it's like, and then look, the guys that get put in that spot, like they're not going to want to come and get shit up. The Hangman Page versus Roddy.
Right.
They're not going to want to get shit on by the tournament. So you're going to get 4 great matches typically on some of these weeks.
Right.
This thing has been an overwhelming success, and I think a lot of people need to eat fucking crow. Like that were saying this thing wasn't going to work. The pure elitists that was holding up the G1. Come see about it. Come lay these matches down on paper. There's no card where there's one good match and then 4 sorry ones. There's no Hikuleo in this block.
Rich,
there's no fucking Sonata. Like, there's no fucking Evil in this thing, ruining the tournament. Give me Jay Lethal every day of the week in this thing. The guys with no points have like fucking compelling stories. Mark Briscoe, right. Daniel Garcia, fucking Jay Lethal. Like, their whole thing is set up now between them to maybe break Jay Lethal out of that Jarrett shit.
Hey, Rich.
This thing has been phenomenal.
Right, Rich. Who, like, a week or two ago mentioned that, like, Briscoe's going to win over Jay Lethal?
You did.
Yeah. Hey, me personally is watch, round robin tournaments and seeing how the stuff's going to go. Most people in these tournaments have stories and storylines and plot and through points throughout the tournament. That's why it's so awesome.
And a little secret. Stories. And a little secret. There's gonna be fallout to this thing too. There are people that have wrestled in this tournament that probably have unfinished business.
Right.
That are gonna see each other down the road.
Right.
James, what does that sound like?
Sounds like story. Yeah.
Man.
Sounds like programs are being built for the future in the tournament. Like
you can watch you can watch the Swerve and Jon Moxley match, and the way that match was worked, and then the finish. If you don't think another match is coming between those guys,
right? Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you. Jay White about to do this rundown. Like, man, I've been flip flopping my pick out here. Like, my whole thing was like Kingston Moxley finals or whatever, but Moxley beating Swerve has made me think Jay White has made me think Swerve's going to lose the Rouge. Swerve's going to be out.
Mm-hmm.
White is going to beat Mox.
They do the rematch and the pay-per-view. Moxley beats Jay White.
So the block finals are actually the 27th on Dynamite. So it's not 2 matches in one night like I assumed or whatever. I feel like there's a chance Jay White can go through, and then it's Jay White and Kingston at World's End in New York or whatever.
No, there's no semifinals where the top 2 from each bracket get to.
Yes, that's the block finals. That's next week on Dynamite.
Wait, so it's not a situation where they finish the block and then the top 2 points getters end up face each other at World's End?
No, they're not fighting at World's End. They're fighting at Dynamite, and then the finals is at World's End.
Okay, gotcha.
Blue versus gold. So,
gotcha.
Like, I feel like Kingston's going through. I haven't seen anything maybe waffle on Kingston, but I feel like it's down to White or Mox. I would be shocked if it went any other direction.
So yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think White and Moxley that's gold, right? Or is that blue?
Yeah, because White, gold. White has to finish in front of Swerve because he does not have the tiebreaker. Right. So that's what makes me think Swerve's going to lose the Rouge.
Right, and that gives Rouge his big win of the tournament because he didn't beat Moxley or Jay White. And then in the other bracket, like you have obviously Danielson already beat Kingston, so and then Garcia, he's winless. Like he has you can do the upset of Danielson, or sorry, not Danielson, but Garcia gets an huge upset over
Brody King
because he upsets the Monster, and the Monster never goes through ever in these things, or almost never goes through. So then you have so that eliminates Brody. Then you do Danielson and Kingston, the rematch there after Danielson beat Kingston and did the whole Kingston is a bump thing, and you have them have their match. Kingston beats him, goes through, and then you could do Kingston versus Jay White or Moxley at World's End. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
motherfuckers acting like
Danielson is politicking for Danielson did not want to beat Brody King on Saturday. Think of how that man kicked out at 3.1, and he hit that man with 3 bicycle knees. Come on,
he let that man kick out at 1 of the fucking moonsault.
Right.
Yes.
Then he had to give him 3, and then the third one he hit 3.1. He didn't want to. They say you got to lose. He's like, fine, fuck.
But
that man lost. That man lost the fucking Mark Briscoe ROH. Just the same weekend. That man don't want to win no matches.
Yeah,
at all.
this was just such a sensational like tournament, and it's not over. Like there's still more to come. Right. And I think that motherfuckers that act like they couldn't read graphs, that couldn't add numbers, like they also got to feel it too. So Black Saber Jr. also, two other questions. He said, thoughts on Arisa Nakajima versus Sarii from Seedling's 8th anniversary show, and how high would it rank in women's matches for you in 2023? I did not see that one. James, did you?
I have not seen it either. I was going to watch it before I saw the rematch that's coming up.
Okay. His next question was, with all the great wrestling in the world, have you caught any of the great stuff Kento Miyahara All Japan has done this year?
The only Kento Miyahara stuff I've seen this year has been his stuff in these stuff with New Japan, stuff with Noah. I have not seen his actual stuff on his own, but he's one of those names where it's like, when I first heard hearing about like AJ Styles, where it's like the reputation is there. I just have not seen much of him, and what I've seen of him, I've liked a lot. And I've heard he's had an incredible year this year, even compared to his prior years too. So I think he's about to do something or he has been doing stuff with Kazuchika Nakajima. So I'm interested to see whatever they got planned going forward. Whenever it comes to me in a way to where I can get a hold of it and watch it. There's a whole lot of that's crazy. I just said, but whatever, it's fine.
I have been lacking on my AJPW, and apparently they've had a pretty stark rise this year.
Yeah. If you take out that Nike, that Muto Tokyo Dome retirement thing, they've been ahead of them all year.
Yeah. So I hope to be able to fit it into the schedule at some point, but man, I got a lot going on here.
Yeah, addition by subtraction. They got rid of Jake Lee, they got him out of. They say, hey, we tired of Kento Miyahara carrying that man. We gonna let him go over to Noah and let him be Noah's problem. And then Noah went out there and struggled underneath that man, and they're like, hey, let's get the belt off that guy and put it back on Kano. So. So question from the JML says, do you feel optimistic that Stardom can have a better year in 2024 than what happened in 2023? Just off the injury, bad luck alone, I would say yes. So yeah.
I would say yes, because there's also a lot of people you can plug in that were underused this year that are ripe to be, getting plugged back in, like Tommy. Saya Kamatani's fresh off the injury. Shuri has been sitting there just hanging out. Tam will eventually come back from the knee. And people like Mariah.
And maybe with this New Japan thing or whatever, they'll figure out how they'll fry those belts and get them and get that bullshit away from Mayu and Julia too. So cause they've been hard to book because of those belts.
Yeah. I feel like those belts are going to be unified this year. Don't ask me why I think that or anything. It just feels like that's a logical thing. And I think that, people like Mariah and Suzu Suzuki who've been elevated this year will really begin to pay off for you next year, because they're, the time's been put in with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of the things that's kind of stunk about this year is that Mariah's been an incredible white belt champ, but no one's talking about it. Her defenses have been amazing, but no one's talking about it because that's not the top of the company, and everyone's hurt, and in the Grand Prix, the winners both basically went to shit, and then the champion got hurt. And by went to shit, I meant they both got injured. It was going to be commentary and retiming, and they had to go to literally Plan C, and then Plan C got the match, and then the champion actually got hurt. It's been a really unlucky year. So we'll see we'll see what unfolds, and then I think this is the year where the only retirement we've had in a minute has been Himeka. I think that there will be more retirements starting next year. Or not starting next year, but next year we'll see more than one retirement.
Question from J. Antonio Teodoro. Given that the C2 is confirmed for next year, what things about the C2 do you think need to be changed for next year? Kind of answered this one already, but if I could think of any change at all, I would say not as much last minute kind of feel around it. Like, this thing needs to be like 3 months out. Like, people need to be in vignettes, talking about they want to be in the C2, or they need to have qualifying matches for people to get spots in the C2. Like, build this thing up 3 months in advance before it starts, because you can pop a rating with night one or whatever the fuck you announce. Because like the reputation this thing has gained is great, but like once it's 11 months later and then it's like it's time for the C2, it might not necessarily be there. Like, especially if the company's doing whatever the fuck the company's doing at that point, it's like this reputation, you have to protect it. And I think the more that you put into setting the table on it, it's like spotters and you're lifting weights. Like we need the spotting, on both sides, rather, because you're strong on your own. They can lift it, with the C2, they can out wrestle the shit, but why not have the help? Oh yes, I forgot to mention, Matt Menard is a top 10 promo in this company. And this is I know that's a random dopey rating, right? Because this guy is fucking phenomenal. What he's doing with Garcia in these fucking pre-tapes, it's like if he goes one more level with it, like I think there's another thing he can tap into, because he's on commentary for his matches, right. And then he's like saying, I love you like a son or whatever, and the whole thing. Like, I think he really needs to drive home that, like, I've had my career essentially. Like, I'm doing my thing now, but like there's more behind me than is in front of me, and I want to put the rest of what I have into you to ensure you're the man, going forward and stuff like that. I think he needs to drive home something like that. And he will, just the way he conveys his emotion in his delivery, he's fucking awesome. Like that would really take it to the next level and like send Garcia up, because everyone's coming out of this thing so much better. Andrade is reborn essentially. Yeah. This Brody is the push. King is reborn.
Yeah, like this is the push they were trying to give Andrade when they first launched Collision, but then like they never did the fucking Malachi match. It was just like, what the fuck? But yeah, this is exactly what they're trying to do with him, and like he's really over the babyface now. He really is.
Yeah. So question from Rambones. He says, "Happy holidays, both you and your families." One, Okada, why? Why not anticipate and build to the next generation if the company knows there's a chance he's leaving? Seems like a similar misfire with Ospreay, but potentially far more devastating.
Yeah, I just don't think that they thought that he would ever leave. And this is the thing of when you take stuff like this for granted, because nothing here is certain or forever. And you end up in a situation where, like, if you don't build it up,
someone will go.
Someone will get hurt. Someone will get, someone will leave. Someone will get injured. Someone will. Shit always happens. Shit always happens.
Yeah.
There's always uncertainty. People get, like, you can't just set it and forget it and think it's gonna just be there forever.
He also says, is the C2 what QT Marshall was referring to when he talked about AEW going in more of a similar direction to New Japan, or are we in for more stylistic changes? I'm glad you brought up QT Marshall, because he escaped maybe like 3 weeks ago what what was coming to him on this show. The first week he brought up, I gave him his flowers. I said how important he was working backstage, all the people he got hired, all the people that, he helped get through the door, and beyond hiring. It's like you championed these people and they ended up in positions of power and influence and stuff like that. And, you're a good soldier and you were there during all these good times. But those quotes were alarming when it was like, they want to be like New Japan, and there's more. They want to do more entertainment stuff and all this stuff, and I don't see how you look at this company and you see what that entertainment stuff had done to it in the third quarter of this year, and then be like, yeah, that's what we need to do. Rather than this thing that has the Texas crowd on fire for a week straight, that like when they show up, that I thought it was, if those comments are true, I thought it just reeks of insecurity, ignorance, on how this whole thing, kind of popped off. And I think that harkens back to what I think the original divide with, Cody and what he was in AEW and the Elite and just how I felt about, whatever that presentation was. And then like that thing is mutated and spun off a bunch of different ways. Like, okay, now when Collision came out and then it's like they wanted to do things quote unquote different there. And it's like in a company that's born in the modern age, people are going to have different ideas for what makes it work. Mm-hmm. However, I feel like the results are pretty clear.
Yeah. When I first heard the quotes about is too much like New Japan, I was like, oh, here we go. It's, it's just ignorance, right? I'm not going to pretend that like language isn't a gigantic barrier. It's one of the biggest barriers in communication there is, right? Like, but if you are someone that is aware of this stuff or has been aware of this stuff and you've seen a G1 or whatever, so you know someone that can tell you what a fuck a G1 is and can show you a press conference and show you the Americans at the press conference, it's not that fucking hard to grasp. If you grew up watching pro wrestling, if you were a 80s and 90s motherfucker that watched this stuff just like he was, he bumps around like The Rock. I think he knows what pro wrestling is. So like for me, it's like, all right, man, you got a vision, you got a narrow view and mindset of what pro wrestling is, and that's what you want to do. Like you want to do fucking QTV and all that bullshit that ain't gonna get a soul over. Okay, whatever. But this is a promotion. This is a work rate promotion. It always was. It always will be.
People trying to hide it inside of it being a promo company and all that, and that's fine. They're great talkers, but at the end of the day, this shit is built on wrestling. Like that's what the crowds go crazy for. They don't, like the promos are nice. And that's fine.
And when I say it's a work rate promotion, I don't mean like just go out there and do whatever the fuck you want, just ooh and all the crowd. I mean, like, no, you tell your story. The stories that you're telling are primarily done in the ring. And then what is supplement in the ring and then what you're there to do is supplement the stories you want to tell in the ring. You do all the shit around the match, not do all the shit in the build up and then you try to build up a match around it. It should be the other way. It should be like, this is the main thing. Like, this is the filet mignon, right? Like, the other stuff is salad. Like, there's different ways of doing it. WWE, when it's done well, is still good. But the main thing is, like, they're doing the soap opera is the filet mignon. There's a way to do it the other way where, like, in my experience watching the other way around, it's more successful watching, like, people have an idea of what the match is going to be, and then they basically go backwards, and then they basically plot out how they're going to get to all that stuff in the ring, regardless of whatever weapons they use, whatever tactics they decide to employ during the match, depending on whatever they get blood or however they get desperate or whatever moves are used. That's the genius of storytelling and laying stuff out over time when you have time to do this and you're lucky enough that no one gets hurt or injured, no one gets fucking, suspended for fighting or stupid shit like that along the way. So yeah, like, I just found the whole thing like of the idea that it's too Japanese, like you people want to say you're telling stories on stuff. It's like, this is the easiest story you're ever going to tell.
I feel like I know more about Mark Briscoe than I've ever known about him just by watching his 4 matches so far in the Continental Classic.
You could say the same thing about Dan Garcia's character. You could say the same thing about Brody King, right? And like, you could say like the injuries people are going through, the way it's just so simple. It's like, it's a story, right? The multi-person story, right? It's world building. It's like, okay, we have a bunch of different characters. Now, what we're telling is we're telling this story in terms of this is a fake fighting federation. And they're going through this journey of this tournament. how are these characters going to interact to these experiences that they all go through, whether it's an injury, whether it's being down in points, whether it's having to overcome, whether it's being ahead, all that kind of stuff. And as things change over time, how are they going to react? How are they going to handle that pressure as it builds upon getting towards the conclusion? It's just really simple. But there is just a difference in storytelling of like, do you want to tell like a soap opera? Well, there's nothing wrong with telling a soap opera. Like, I love soap operas. Or do you want to tell something that's a little bit more subtle? Whatever. It's, you know, it's I mean, I talk about like, it's like, do you want to tell a blockbuster, or do you want to tell something that's more, what do you call it? Something more capable of getting critical acclaim, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with going out there and saying you want to make a Marvel movie. Those make tons of money. Some people's favorite movies all the time, including mine. But like, when it comes to like the critically acclaimed stuff and you watch it, it kind of hits you. You know, if you're in the mood for it, it can hit you in a different way than that kind of stuff can, because it's more human. It's just more human. And like the larger than life stuff, it has its moments. But most of the stuff's best moments is when you feel the human inside of that over the top character, right? When you hear the crazy rapping fake Marine fake Marine go out here and talk about how much he loves the fans and the audience and what he's doing it for. That's the human part of it, right? Like, and when I see, you know, when I watch this, it's like, that's the human part of the struggle of wanting of this dream and chasing it down. I don't understand, and like that's sports too, right? Like, and like the will to not want to lose and the will to want to survive and struggle. I just don't get like
how about James?
You want the loony stuff so much more than that. Like, I feel like you're fundamentally out of whack with your balance of what you want.
How about the prop comedy the prop itself of the story? Someone's going to get to unveil that fucking belt that's been sitting there since day one under a fucking blanket. Someone's going to get to pull that up.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, they have the legitimacy of like, we 12 people came through this tournament and they all had 5 incredibly hard matches at least. And that determined the winner of these 3 belts. And that person went through this tournament and that kind of grueling thing. So imagine the kind of champion they are when they get rest and they get to defend this thing. The person that's going to win this thing and the person that's going to defend it, like, their credibility is earned. As opposed to you pull a championship out of a belt and you have a little, you know, quick little tournament of 8 people, 4 people, whatever. And nothing wrong with that. Like, those people still earn it too, but like, the feeling of it being earned is so much more in these kind of tournaments than the single elimination stuff. It just is.
Yep. So Brandon Van Candia says, what things in wrestling are you looking forward to in 2024? Also, if Okada leaves New Japan, who do you think would you pick to take his spot, and who do you think New Japan picks? Say things I'm looking forward to in 2024. I'm looking for the AEW World Champion to be Swerve Strickland. Flat out, like like we look at this entire year, we see a superstar get made between Wrestle Dream, Full Gear, and C2, and all those reactions that have come up. There are threads everywhere that I'm hoping pays off. And, you know, I'm interested to see how that all plays out. 80,000, Wembley Stadium, whose house, Swerve's house, coming out in the coffin. And then, you know, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen with Hangman Page. Man, just like I think I've got that circled more than anything. You know, hoping that comes to pass.
Yeah, things I most want to see in pro wrestling going into 2024. I mean, I feel like, quite frankly, like, I'm actually honestly more interested, or not more interested, like, I like the stuff I see WWE doing since Punk has came back. Like, I like the programs. Like, the Roman thing is what it is, but I mean, like, the stuff out around that, I like what I see them doing. So like NXT, it's not enough talented, not enough like experienced wrestlers for my liking. Too much goofy stuff, but I just think that like in general, we have potential to be like, hey, there's a lot of good wrestling around, and there's no necessarily like major company that's super incompetent right at this point. Like AEW has kind of righted itself through some trial and error in this tournament. WWE's in a good spot right now. They have some top stars. They have some good storylines. They have some interesting like matchups going forward into WrestleMania season. They have people who's like multiple people can win Royal Rumble, and it doesn't feel like there's only one choice they can go with. Yeah, I feel like this year's set, or going in next year's set to be, you know, barring injuries or whatever else, like really bad injury look like it's going to be better than what we had for a lot of this year. Because there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, we got the brand new show for AEW. We didn't know how that was going to go and what it was going to be, and like, is this, you know, you had all this negative energy around Punk being AEW, and like he clearly didn't want to be there. It was like a black cloud, in the words of Hangman Page. And now the black cloud's gone. It's in like the black cloud's where he wants to be. The black cloud doesn't even seem like a black cloud. It seems cloud just regular old silver, regular old cumulus cloud. I think I pronounced that right. And like, it seems like everything for AmRest seems on the up and up. Like ROH has had a really good pay-per-view. You know, it seems like we have a better outlook going into next year than what we ended up getting this year.
Definitely,
all major companies.
Well, I want to see what the Young Bucks have in store in their rebirth, whatever they have. Will Ospreay on weekly television. Have you thought about this? Like,
I thought about it when I was watching the 6-person eliminator match for Ring of Honor for the TV title, the vacant TV title that Fletcher won, and they go into the final stretch with Commander and Fletcher, and they kicked out of shit that was been like, this is some shit that like, this should have been on a takeover. This should have been on like a takeover from 6 years ago. Like, they were kicking out of shit. It was like, bro, what? But yeah, I was thinking to myself like, bro, like Phoenix, Vikingo, Commander, Ospreay, like some of these matches have never happened before, and like they're gonna roll the ball out on one of those at like 9:00 on a random Dynamite, and it's gonna blow people's fucking minds when it happens. And like I got excited because it's like, I know they've done it before. They've done like, I think they've had one Vikingo Phoenix match last year on a Triple Mania, but like,
yeah,
if that shit happens on a Dynamite,
I can't wait.
Oh my god, that's just gonna change our lives.
Real nasty.
So yeah, man. I'm that's kind of stuff I'm excited for. Like, see some of these first time matchups with Ospreay versus some of these luchadors that he gets the base for. Like a Vikingo and Ospreay match. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I want to see Danielson and Ospreay get to it. I think that would just be sensational.
It would be. I think it fits more. It will end up fitting more of like what you would see out of Saber in Ospreay at times, which is not no bad thing. Is like they've had some matches I've thought were some of the best matches of the year before. So in certain years, so that's not a problem. It's just like hell. That was Skrull. That was Skrull when Ospreay put up his neck.
Yeah, Ospreay Takeshita finally, man.
Yeah, that'd be.
That's the next generation of Omega. I've always thought that
Ospreay Takeshita, Ospreay Cloud would be amazing because like the strongest base in the world versus Ospreay. That'd be special.
Man. Yeah. Eddie Kingston and Will Ospreay might be fun. Hear all that aggressive British talking, all that aggressive New York talking. It would sound like a drill track.
Dr. Larry said Ospreay versus Bandito. Brother, I gotta say, I've seen Ospreay versus Bandito in person. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's great. I was there in person. I was about 10 feet from the ring.
Yeah, if you follow my Instagram, you can go scroll down and find it's probably like a couple swipes down in 2019 when they wrestled the WrestleCon Super Show in New York. Yeah, I probably got like a 30-second, 40-second clip of it. It's amazing.
As far as Okada leaving New Japan, who would I pick? Yota Tsuji. I think I've made it quite clear.
Yeah.
I would have this guy not lose any falls. He would be building up to win that shit at goddamn Dominion, and then we fucking rolling. Like, hell, even shit. Maybe we even let him win the New Japan Cup and then start it there. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Him or Shota seem like the two that I'd be easiest with. Like, as far as, or it seems like the easiest ones is like Shota already has something going for him. Obviously, just Tsuji's just ahead as far as like the look and the distinctness of the character. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I think.
Who do I think New Japan picks? Yeah, I think New Japan's gonna pick Shota Umino. It's just like,
probably
like, look at him, like he's jacked. He wears white. Like that's kind of that's kind of it. Yeah. And then, like, if it doesn't work in that particular presentation, they'll just Naito him and have him move over to be some type of anti-establishment, anti-type of person or heel or whatever else, and the crowd eventually will love him too, the same way that Naito didn't work being the replacement Tanahashi when he came around. King Dom at Dom Homie says, most overrated wrestlers from 2010 to 2019. Most underrated wrestlers from 2010 to 2019. Wow.
Oh, man.
Loaded question.
Yeah. You want to go by promotion?
Man. Sure. I guess we can start WWE. Most overrated wrestlers from 2010 to 2019. I mean, you can say Orton. Ooh, that's a good one. In the comments. But I think he had too many great matches.
Yeah, like you can say that, but like all right, but he was easily the best wrestler in 2019 in WWE. Easily.
Yeah.
Like not even close.
I'll say this. Seth Rollins, as far as being one of the most overrated guys from 2010 to 19.
You think he's more overrated than than Rollins? I'm sorry, than Rollins, but than Randy Orton?
Yes, because I think Orton.
All the fucking WWE like wrestlers say that he's the best fucking worker. That's fucking absurd.
He does not have the resume or whatever, but just your average fan will like consider Seth Rollins like among like one of the 5 best wrestlers in the world, and that's just not the case. Especially after the knee.
Yeah.
I will say, as far as overrated as well, this is a hard one because I'm trying to run through all the stuff I watched in that company.
I mean, oh boy, nah, sorry, that's not going. I ain't going to defend it. I'm not even going to. I'm looking at the comments. I'm not going to say something. You can speak on it, Rich.
Let me see. So, Triple H wasn't really an active wrestler for me in that decade. Like, I think he's like more of a retired once a year kind of wrestler.
Did he even have 3 matches in that decade?
Yeah, I wouldn't really count him in that.
Also, no one thinks he's an all-time great worker either.
I feel, man,
like there are people there are wrestlers that would be like Randy Orton's a bet, like Edge, Christian, Miro. They'll all say like he's the best worker they've ever been in the ring with. No one says about Triple H at all.
Ever. They say he's a great ring general. They say that.
Yeah, they say no. They don't say he can't work, but they're not like he's the best motherfucker I've ever been in the ring with. Like Randy Orton be getting that kind of shit, that kind of talk that people talk about Christian at times. I'm like, huh? Not to say that Christian's not a great wrestler. He is. It's just he's not at the level of his peers from that in his prime. He just wasn't.
So I see Ciampa and Gargano on here.
I think there's a lot of we never liked NXT / like I hated their story and ended up where their story ended up, and as opposed to like, yeah, man, like do you want? I can throw 20 Gargano matches at you. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not.
Too many great matches. I like,
it's,
you know, there's like guys, you know, they do that. He's looking at his hand shit. I don't care. You like, like I don't care. Like, there was so, like, this man was coming out here rolling out.
He's like, him and Gunther.
4.5, 5.
Him and Gunther are the only guys. Him and Gunther are the only guys, or probably Tyler Bate, are like the only guys like from that 2007, or even Andrade if you want to. Like, those are the only guys who came to mind and be like, I'm watching New Japan, I'm watching G1s. I'd be like, yeah, those matches that are happening in these takeovers, like, those matches can actually, like, fit in, like, a summer main event of the Best Super Juniors or a G1 final. Like, no, there's, like, nah. Like, those are the only ones.
I'll give you a most overrated. Velveteen Dream.
Well, I mean, it went bad real quick. Let's see.
I think there's actually more interesting guys on underrated, and that's actually something like I'm gonna use underrated in a drastic measure.
Wait, Ciampa was a bad NXT champion? I'm reading the comments.
His match with Aleister Black was not great. It was just good. His match with Velveteen, he actually carried Velveteen to a pretty good match.
A match that like a lot of people, or most people, if you go with that cage match ring,
4 3/4.
Everyone thinks it's 4 3/4.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Most underrated, I will say somebody like, I don't know if the 2019 part is the weird part because he had just got there. But this may like fold into like present day. I think Gunther is actually underrated. Every day that we don't talk about this man as one of the 1, 2, or 3 best wrestlers to ever walk in that company, we are doing him a disservice.
Yeah. I
mean, he can be any spot. He can be like, 1, he can be 2, he can be 3. Either one.
By the time we got to I think either the first or this, I think no, it was the second. By the time we got to the second Dragunov match on the takeover, we were like, bro, what are we doing? It's him and Gargano and who else? Like in the history of the company, at like top level matches, it's those two and then who else? Like you want to say Sean because Sean has been wrestled there for 20 years, fine, but like go on and just a match per match, like count up the number of high quality matches, count the number of matches of dates. It's mind boggling those two.
Trying to say underrated Pete Dunne.
Bait.
He definitely like when there was a time where Pete Dunne, it was like every time he was on the network, I would seek out NXT UK to watch Pete Dunne because I knew he was giving me 4 stars no matter what, no matter who we put him in the ring with. Trying to see.
I was championing him so hard. It was like this was at the time before I finally like embraced the Saber stuff, and I was like, bro, like I understand. Look, there are certain Saber matches that get me for the most part. I just think he's doing hold porn. Like, give me the Pete Dunne technical wrestling. Give me the Danielson technical wrestling. Give me the Gargano technical wrestling. Give me the Kyle O'Reilly technical wrestling. I don't want the Saber stuff. Saber grew on me over time. I think he's gotten better, obviously, but still, just like I was like, nah, man, what Dunne is doing, like that grabs me a lot more than what Saber ends up doing a lot. He's just playing defense against like momentum in like the fun stuff. At times, that's how I felt. Yeah. I mean, look,
there were points that I thought Brock Lesnar was overrated.
Yep, easily.
Bray Wyatt. Obviously.
I don't know how people actually rate him in most of the bell rings. So it's like,
yeah.
What I will say is, as far as the tag team, I think Kyle O'Reilly Kyle O'Reilly in
Roderick Strong
in Roderick Strong are like one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history, and people don't even recognize it happened in front of their eyes.
Yeah,
like, I think they're the greatest NXT tag team of all time. People would be like, "What about Alpha? What about American Alpha? What about Revival?" And I'm just like,
"What about them?"
I'm like, they've had their matches against each other, but it's like, yo, bro, like I saw them have a TV match. That was a 5-star match. Not a takeover, a TV match. inside the LA Fitness. Or sorry, no, at that point it was still Full Sail. At Full Sail. That's real hard to do, man. It was killing.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's, we could come back to that question every week probably. And even we spend way too much time on that. I guess overrated. Let's talk about New Japan, 2010 through 2019.
Well, I mean, the answer is Naito.
Most overrated?
Most overrated? In the ring? Yeah.
Had a lot of great matches.
Absolutely.
I think so.
He is a how do I say this? Like if we were doing an MVP tier for in-ring wrestling of the let's say 2015 through up to 2019, right? And you say we are giving it to the best worker that had the highest number of certain level of matches. He'd be someone you name off, but he'd never be someone to be like off one of the first 3 or 4 names you'd ever mention.
Yeah,
and he gets put there in that level, and he also is an Observer Hall of Famer now. And it's like, bro, can he actually outwork Ishii?
Look, I look.
He's super talented.
We talk.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. Do I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer? No.
My issue with Naito is I've never been like I see all these other guys on the card with him and think all of them are better. Like
that's where I'm getting at.
Okada, Tanahashi, Omega, Shingo,
Ibushi.
Will, Ibushi,
right?
Ishii, like, and it's
Hiromu.
like Hiromu. It's like somebody's got to be like number 9 or some shit, right? But
he's a killer number 9, which explains you how crazy this fucking era was. But nonetheless, he's still number 9.
Yeah, so like, and maybe it's the passionate fan base that drives him into overrated territory, but
well, it's just he's not as consistent because like he does stuff like land on his neck all the goddamn time. Or when he really wants to have have a great match, he'll land on his neck and do all types of crazy shit. Seems like it hurts his health. So he comes off. He's almost like the Nakamura, if you will, this era where it's like people love him the most, but like, was he as consistent as his peers at the top? No, he just wasn't.
I feel like Goto was like eventually like slotted properly or whatever, but I always thought Hiroki Goto was impressive. The first time I saw him.
Yep.
As far as
right, that same thing. Like Nakamura was definitely overrated, and I loved him. Yeah, same. That was the same case for us too.
Yeah. But I thought he was great in New Japan, but then after that.
But it's like once you go through, once he's passed, like, because we were around him we only started watching for basically like a year. And then like you start seeing, you look at the cage match and you're like, huh. I mean, when I watched him the first time, he jumps off the page more than a Tanahashi does. And then you look through it and you're like, but Tanahashi really was a guy. Just, this wasn't really up for debate. It's just first impression. It's like the first time we watched Stardom, we both were like, first person sticks out to us is Hana Kimura. And then it's like, nah, man, Mayu and Momo, nah.
Let me see. As far as underrated, I mean, obviously Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah.
It's not even a question. One of the greatest wrestlers under God's hot sun.
Yep.
He's just like.
You want to go with someone else?
Oh, I'll go with overrated. Zack Sabre Jr.
No, I was gonna mention someone else. I was be like Yoshihashi, man.
Underrated Yoshihashi.
Very underrated. Very underrated. That man is always in the top third percentile in G1 like match to match output in these G1s in the last like 3-4 years now. He consistently shows up and kicks ass.
Yeah, I'll go back on my Zack Sabre Jr. point because I'm sure somebody just yelled at this thing like he's not overrated. Like, bro, I was not trying to watch that shit. Like, I just wasn't. Like, no, like.
He's gotten better.
Yeah, he's better now. Like, he's a lot better now. I enjoy him a lot more now than I did during that time period. Like
he picks up pace a lot faster, and I feel like he's not. I'm going to counter everybody into dust like he used to. I feel like he's just better at it now.
Let's see what else we got. Bad Take Fale, Ace of New Japan says, who y'all got as a final two in the C2? I got Kingston in there for sure, and I got neither White or Mox. I haven't made a decision.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Kingdom, down homie one more time. Any thoughts on the battle between Zion Williamson and Anthony Edwards over who's the NBA Raw Dog champion? This is quite a question. So Anthony Edwards got himself
allegedly
put on these streets via these screen caps from Instagram model who claims she, was with child, was popping pregnant. And Anthony Edwards is like, hold up, we ain't trying to do all that. And he essentially offered, there's a wire transfer of $100,000, encouraging the young lady to get an abortion. And this comes on the heels of him getting, it's almost the same situation as Zion. Like, he was with his girlfriend, she's pregnant, and then like this other woman comes out with this story now with the screen caps, and then Anthony Edwards is forced to address it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And this is crazy, man, because like,
okay.
Maybe Edwards is pro-choice. I don't know.
He definitely appears to be pro-choice. That's for damn sure.
I think we got that out the way.
Yeah. I think that the thing that is really stick with people is that people have, because Ant is so like charismatic and like gregarious and like just funny and so Atlanta. Like he you see him these interviews, you see him talk, and then you see him talk trash, and then you see these texts, and then you read these texts, and you're like, you absolutely hear his voice saying these things, right? Like when I don't have the text in front of me because I read them before, but like then these alleged texts between him and the woman, and the woman's like, what do you want me to do? And he goes, get an abortion, LOL. Hey, bro, what is
send the video?
What? No, we'll get to that. What is the wildest shit that you've ever text somebody and put LOL on the end of? Because
brother, I do not remember, and if I did, I don't know if I would say it on this show.
I think what me it's pretty. LOL, and move on. Anyway, the one thing for me was everyone was laughing at the send the video one. That one just broke everyone because it's like, send the video. Where's the video? When you send this video? When you see this video, you taking these pills to let me know that you have, taking care of this, right? There's also one where he's like, I'm not understanding.
Bring a lawyer in.
There was a lot of stuff. There was a lot. But yeah, it was just because you could hear him type this stuff. I think that's it for me. Like, I could just hear him type this stuff, and I'm just like, bro, it's so hard to understand this, like, as far as, because people on Twitter be like, why does this keep happening to these athletes, X, Y, and Z? They got a pocket full of money, they got the world at their feet, and they end up in these situations or whatever else, and, they start talking about safe sex or whatever else, and like, look, man, I don't pretend to relate or understand this, but something I do recognize from some of these guys and their perspective on this. If I got that much goddamn money, I'm at my age. We're at a time where people take medication for HIV and AIDS. My days of safe sex are over. I don't necessarily. I don't agree with them in the way they take that, how their cavalier they are with the potential spread of diseases amongst the community or amongst society. Yeah. I'm just saying that I recognize that's the logic in their minds, and I ain't got nothing else to say other than that.
Well, I gotta say, partner, my days have been long over.
Married man, like, yeah, I get that. It's like the consequence of sex. Having kids? I got a bunch of money. That's their logic. I don't agree with it, but that's their logic.
Yeah, there was once a song by an artist named Young Fella. Y'all can look it up. It's called "I'll Pay for It." That can mean many things.
Right. So Brewhaven's in here saying those HIV pills help prevent. It doesn't mean it's 100%. I agree with you. I'm not agreeing with them. How many times I'm trying to distance myself to where you understand that I'm not on their side. I think I could have swore I said that I recognize that's their logic. I don't agree with it, and I don't practice that. I'm not with them. I'm just saying that, like, their logic I've heard before, and I recognize that logic before, right? That's all I'm saying. I don't agree with it. I don't. All right, he said in the comment, not bad. You're like, bro, I just got to make sure, because if you don't understand, that means someone else will understand. I need to make sure that everyone hearing me understands where I'm at. I'm not with them. That's them over there with their rich asses. Me, a non-rich, is not over there with their asses.
Oh, man. And then Zion.
I mean,
what is there to say? We know the Mariah Mills situation. That, man.
Wasn't he out here messaging Kendall, one of the Jenners recently? Like this last week or something?
Talking about I like chocolate. Man, I bet you better sit your fat ass down talking about food and candy and shit.
Man,
Come on, dog.
Wow.
Come on, dog.
Wow.
Come on, dog. You in the league, man. Get a trainer, dog. Get your meals prepped for you so you ain't got to think about it. Don't you play better when you eat right?
You would think so. I meal prep every week, but, Jen,
how about instead of dropping your barbecue chicken on the grill, like the poundage of it on a Sunday, and then packing it up, instead of doing all that, you decide to show up to Burn fresh off Checkers every day.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that works for you.
How long can I do it for? How long?
1 week experiment.
1 week experiment? Oh my God!
No. Absolutely not.
Oh my God! That wouldn't go well. That would not go well.
Dude, I was running up the hill today. I was like, hey, man, I got to get out there. I was like, it's cold up here. I got to do it anyway. Like, but, oh, man, like, so let's talk about Final Battle then wrap this thing up. Yeah,
we'll go quickly, because we're already at like an hour, almost 2 hours in already. So ROH Final Battle. I thought this was a really good card. I did not watch all of it. I will say this. I think the main event is overrated, but that's my opinion. I see a lot of people loved it. It just wasn't for me. I thought it was too long, and I thought it was too slow. And I thought that Billy Starks didn't necessarily hold up her end of the bargain for all the talk of her being this prodigy. And maybe I'm spoiled because I've seen certain women wrestlers her age that she couldn't have touched
Light
it at
years.
her age. Yeah. But she's good, but it's like, nah, I saw Momo Watanabe and Azumi and Starlight Kid and Suzuki when they were 19. She is not one of them.
Different.
She's not one of them. She's good, but she's not one of them, and she's still learning. She's still learning.
I think if you send her over there, like, if her last 2 or 3 years have been spent over there, she would be further along, and she would be able to hang.
Yeah. I agree with that. But it's not saying the match wasn't great or wasn't. I just think that people giving this thing like it's an 8.7 on Cage Match right now through 160 votes. Nah, I ain't going for that.
There are Kenny Omega matches that have been hated on that have less that have lower rankings than that.
Like I would not put that over like the Vikingo Tourist match, which I thought was sloppy at points, but I also thought was spectacular at other points too. Like I would not put that over
there are several bar matches out here that have been hated to hell. Like
Yeah, like I would not put that over like the 6-person elimination match for the TV title. I would not. Like that final stretch with that final stretch with Kyle Fletcher and Commander was fucking unreal. It was like one of the best stretches of wrestling you'll see all year. You know, the 6-person tag team BCC and Briscoe and FTR was great as well. I put that above that too. Like it was a very good match, great match. Call it whatever you want to, but I just don't think it was on the level of those other matches that I just mentioned.
Probably go like 4 3/4 on that 6-man match.
That match was nuts, and like you know, I hate matches that have the stupid restart for no reason. They could just start the fuck. Yeah. They could have just had the fucking match and just had it with no rules anyway at the beginning with.
They did it for the pop,
right? They did it for disappointment and the pop to restart the match. Like, but I will say this: it was funny. It was funny to Mark Briscoe say. Senior ref Paul Turner, you bump your fucking head, boy. Why did he have to say senior referee Paul Turner? Why did he just call him ref? Why did he just call him Paul Turner? He had to say the whole official title as if that's on. He had to say the entire job title that's on senior referee Paul Turner's business card. Like it's just funny to me. You're like, you bump your fucking head. Like, look, bro, I immediately found that. I memed that. I'm using that for the future. Like, you bump your fucking head, boy. That's yep. That we're keeping that one. We're keeping that one for a minute. That's gonna be in rotation for like a week on the insults. But yeah, man. Just in general, just a really fun show. The matches I mentioned, like those are all matches I would suggest you all watch. Even the match, well, I say it's overrated. I still say it's worth watching the Athena and Billy Stark's match. Like they get to mention spots on the around the ringside area in different spots as far as telling their story. I will say, between the Billy Starks and the Willow Blood, I gotta say, like, if you're gonna do it, do it. Like
Willow had like it was like the cutest blade drop you ever seen. It was just like right in the corner.
Billy's was like Willow's was a better blade job than Billy's. Billy was like and then she's running, and then it happened like the first third of the match. So you know how it is already getting dry and it's already stopped up and coagulated, and you're already.
So what you're saying, James, is they had to get that thing wet.
Thanks, Santa. You said yeah. Someone clipped that. Santa Richard Claus. Yeah, Santa Rich saying get that thing wet. Anyway, yeah, man. But it was a really fun show. Like I would say, like, you know, did you see the King or not the Kingston, the Fletcher and Commander stuff?
No, I heard rave reviews.
The whole match is great, right? But like that final stretch of those two is just like Fletcher, man. Like
got a belt now.
Like his TV champion. It's gonna be fun to see him, you know, do his thing with that belt. Also, like, because of his size and his experience doing you know, the Aussie Open stuff, like he's always been a bully wrestler anyway, and he's 6'5" or whatever, so he's always, you know, he always had advantage in this era of wrestling. But like his physique seems like his physique is coming into place. Like obviously he's only like 24, 25 now, but like when he gets to 30, like he's gonna be bigger. Like he's already bigger than Ospreay because of the size now, but like because of the height. But like it's gonna be interesting to see what he looks like physique wise in 10 years, whatever else. And like we're talking about someone that could be a potential AEW World Champion.
Mm-hmm. Like
he already has the work thing down. It just comes down to coming up with a personality and, you know, promo skills, the chops to match it. But like, you know, he can go in the ring and already have quality matches to begin with. But like, so we'll see where he is in 5 years. You know, health provided, all that kind of stuff. And that's another young guy in the stable. And like Commander's like 24, 25 as well. And it's like they had that stretch, and it's like Commander already does a million crazy fucking things. He did more crazy things in this match than what you already seen before, and some of the stuff he took, and it's like, this is another person that could be like, you know, we talk about the pillars in this kind of way. It's like, look at these under 30 guys here. The future's bright for them. Like, these guys come out here.
Kingo was on this show. Like,
right. He's in the opener with the tours. And that match is super fun. That match is super fun as well. Like, I'll go out your way to watch that too. Like,
I saw that
chance. One. Oh, you saw it? Okay, there you go. So, yeah. Super fun match.
I thought Bad Dude Tito went crazy during that 6-man. There was like a stretch that he was just like, he has the way his outfit looked. It looked like he was Adam Bomb from like the New Generation era. He looked like Adam Bomb, and he was just doing all this shit Adam Bomb would have never did.
Right.
And man, like I said, man, the Mogul Embassy is just getting more over, and then like, you know, those guys went over to Japan. They're coming back. It was almost like they were prepping these guys, like with giving them a lot more work to pull the trigger on something than, you know, the near future. I think the group is like getting stronger. Brian Cage got a squash win on Collision, so like there's something going on here. Like trying to figure it all out, but
I mean, would it be out of the realm of possibility that they try to like unify the trios titles? Would it be worth it?
I don't know. Just because like unifying the trios belts,
or do you say you don't unify them because then you have to go through the problem of ununifying them at some point too?
Yeah, because like unless you're getting rid of one of the belts, like it doesn't.
Okay, fair enough.
But it looks like, you know, Keith Lee and Swerve is getting set up. Like Keith Lee got a win over Shane Taylor. There was some collision that happened.
Okay, like it wasn't nothing compared to like the tag match they had with the one guy in Swerve last year. That match was actually great. This match was fine. Match was like some 2.5 type of thing. They did a couple cool things, but like it felt like they went too long. And they were trying to tell a grander story than what most people are even expect out of them. So it just went a little too long. Do you watch it or no?
No.
Okay, so by the end, Keith Lee is one of those matches where like Taylor seems like he's gonna have him beat, and then like Keith Lee ducks under a move and then hits the Big Bang Catastrophe and wins. And it's then he goes for he gets him up. He gets up Shane Taylor and they kind of squash it or whatever else. And then Shane Taylor's 2 kids and wife are ringside or whatever else, and like his oldest daughter's like crying because she's like, I really wanted you to beat Uncle Keith and you couldn't do it. And I was like, damn. Like, because the whole thing is like, I stayed, you left, and I'm gonna beat your ass, and then like Keith just come back and you lose. Sorry, bro.
You gotta go to hell after that. Like,
you know, like we've seen tons of these, right? Like we saw the same. We just saw it with Mayu and Kyrie last year, right? Where it's like, you left, you came back, like I stayed or whatever else, and then like what happens? Person that came back just drops you.
Hell.
Yeah. Like, obviously, you know how it is when someone comes back, like you should push that person or give them the win or whatever else, but it's also like I'm feeling like, well, what if I didn't follow this person as they left or whatever? They just left and came back. It's like this person deserted me. I kind of want to see them lose and then build back. You know, I kind of want to see them, you know, hit their second crossroads, go for a third one, then catch some more spike, and then they have to go get it. You have to go get it for another year until they get their moment. Some people feel that way. Some people do feel that way.
Man,
bro, when CM Punk go out here and catch a curve stomp, it's gonna be nasty. Look, either way, whatever scenario, One Nation Radio wins. It don't matter.
Oh, absolutely.
It don't matter.
We get to laugh at Seth Rollins or we get to laugh at Oh my God.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
You see, you always come out on top when you were One Nation Radio.
Speaking of, we
don't take no L's.
Speaking of always winning, there was somebody that Rich said always lost.
I forgot about this.
Took an all-time L.
I forgot about this. James, I'm glad you brought this up because it has been ages since we talked about Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
James, I don't know. Does getting arrested sound like winning to you?
It does not.
This was not someone that got arrested for protesting. This was not someone who was arrested for meager, arrested wrongfully,
Right. Like, she got arrested for something lame. However, the reason why she got pulled over to begin with is because she was driving impaired. And like that don't fly. Regardless of whether we think like getting arrested for weed charges is lame, which it is. You can't be on the road behind the wheel operating a flying missile fucked up. You just can't, regardless of whatever it is, you just can't do it. Period. The weed possession charge she caught, that fucking sucks. She got caught because she was on the road and she was very
swerving when she drives.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, she was swerving when she drove, and she isn't where she is, and that sucks for her. And I hope that like this never happens for her again. And like, I don't know how you contextualize any other way than like just, you could put her next to a drunk driver. I don't know how you get. I don't know. It's the same thing.
Yeah, this is like I don't want to go too hard on her. And,
I'm not going hard. I'm just saying like, hey man, it's a bad look, and I'm leaving it at that. It's a bad look. I hope it never happens again, and I'm leaving it at that. Like I'm not going to treat her like she's fucking Jeff Hardy and has done it a million times.
Yeah, so just never do no shit like that again, and hopefully you can resume your career. Maybe you might even get a push. If his recent history is to be looked at in this promotion. So,
do we need to talk about other wrestlers in WWE in drug usage right now? AJ Styles showed up.
Oh my God!
AJ Styles showed up and looking next to Randy Orton. And Randy Orton like Pete Randy Orton still at what 43? Randy Orton 40. He's got to be older than 40. 44?
He's 43.
Okay, at 43, he still somehow looks like 36-year-old Randy Orton. And AJ Styles showing up like a AJ Styles that we have never seen before in life.
Ever.
Look,
bro,
man,
they're on that Triple H package. You're like, I'm gonna give you all my stuff.
And look, I gotta tell you, me and Rich, 1H Radio, we do not care. We just pointing out. We just pointing out that hey, something has changed here. It ain't just a diet, and hopefully it don't wreck the back half of their life and their way of life.
Punk about to get on it.
Punk already looks in better shape. Like he looks.
There's no way he can go back.
He maybe showed up with a pump or whatever else, but he looks in better shape than he was at the end of AEW. He does. There's
no way he can show up in WWE looking how he looked in some of them collision matches. There's no fucking way.
That's
like
true.
That man is about to inhale some PEDs, just like AJ. AJ came back, bro. This man AJ Styles.
I've never seen AJ this cut up before. And the thing about him being cut up is like he's done the thing that makes you question how did this happen, because it's like, all right,
he was gone.
No. It's just like when you look at the body type, like. He looks like when people try to lose weight or whatever else, they try to lean out to get more ripped or whatever else. Normally, because you lose fat or whatever else, you don't put on muscle as you do it. You're just losing fat. So, like, you look smaller. You look more wiry than you did, like, before you start to cut. The thing with him is he looks like he weighs the same that he used to weigh while also have lost whatever percentage of fat. That's not how that normally goes, unless
you have additional help.
There lies a quote unquote issue. If you consider it an issue, I don't consider it an issue. I don't care. If you piss to a cup and the cup disintegrates in your hand, that's as long as you ain't having no weird freakouts or whatever else emotionally, that's on you. Put whatever in your body you want to. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I'm not here to police these dudes, these grown athletes. I feel like most of these people kind of know what they're doing.
Right.
Of course, there is an elevated injury risk or whatever, as we saw with Cody Rhodes. I'm not saying whether he was on it or not, but you couldn't look at pictures of him of when he was in AEW and then he came back to WWE. Stark difference. And then, of course, the steroid injury or whatever, like with the torn pec. So, yeah, AJ looks huge. I can't even, say if you think that man was just decide to lift the bar 500 times a day, I'm telling you, I don't think that's how that went.
Yeah, and another thing about AJ is AJ always was in a really good shape anyway. He always had a good physique, but it's all of a sudden wait, now all of a sudden you look as cut up as Pete Dolph Ziggler. You were never that cut up before.
Yeah, man.
That's and you're doing it at 46. That's
nutrition system. Look, Nutrition Solutions ain't doing all that.
That's kind of where I'm getting at. And look, whatever. Once the bell rings, he's on pay per view. I'll be there watching. I don't give a shit. Look. When we be watching when we watch Brian Cage walk his ass in the middle of Texas Death, do you think either one of us cared? No,
absolutely not.
Yeah, look, all this stuff's been going on with MJF for the last year. Have anyone cared outside of his performance, whether match good or match bad? No, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, man, it's interesting though, because they have a wellness policy. I don't know if they necessarily do in AEW.
Maybe they skirted. Maybe these two have skirted because I know Randy Orton's he's on a part-timer schedule, right? On selected dates. I don't know what AJ's situation is.
Yeah.
Also, Edge was on them per date things when he was in WWE. Look, showed up at AEW looking like how he did when he was in his peak, and he's in his late 40s.
Hey,
man.
And look at when them Edge matches get booked, right? He gets booked, and then there's a 6-week period before he's booked again. That sounds like perfect amount of time to get a cycle in.
Edge be I'm on a cut. He's treated like those the people that be doing these cuts. I'm 6 weeks out. I'm 8 weeks out. I'm 4 weeks out. Maybe that's how Edge treating it. He may be treating it that way. However, I think you get a little help. Whatever, man.
I feel like I got to do a Zoom real quick just for my boy Sir Sam that jumped in the comments. See if it works. Oh, it does work. Look at it, James.
Oh my God, this is fucking ridiculous.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Make sure y'all screen cap this 5-second pose. There you go.
All right. Any other questions?
Y'all can kiss Chris Jericho's ass. Anybody don't like my dog Chris Jericho. I saw a lot of people talking down. Once Kenny went out, was making their little jokey jokes about Jericho sending Kenny to the hospital because of the promo. Blah blah blah. He's here. He's gonna be here until he's not signed, and deal with it. Never count him out. Y'all trying to throw dirt on him. All right, I'm warning you now. Yeah. He'll be look. I've seen this story play out for 30 years now, James.
I need to ask you this.
He just gets back over again. It's just what happens.
Yeah. I meant to ask you this. Do you think he blew through too much stuff? Too fast in AEW?
I just think he's gone through all of his natural arcs or whatever.
No, but do you think he went through stuff too fast though? Do you think so? For example, right? Inner Circle. Do you think they could have got another 6 months, a year out of it?
No, because everyone says it's all going on too long anyway.
Fuck the outside bullshit. I'm talking about I'm asking you as a person that's actually objective or trying an objective. I'm trying to ask you an objective question. We talked about Cody blew through a lot of stuff really quick.
Yeah, could they have? I think him and MJF that went a full year.
Them not doing Sammy and late sex guys as a tag team before doing the breakup just seems like they should have got 6 months out of that.
They should have got a big victory for Sammy over Jericho at some point. maybe they still do that, but it seems like it doesn't naturally fit in anymore.
Right.
And I think that's a missed opportunity. You know, he lost the title. Let's take it back. So he's, you know, he wins the AEW title. He holds it 6 months. In retrospect, and actually in real time, I think he holds it for like the perfect amount of time. It's like
I agree.
6 months. Then you can hand it over to like the wrestlers to kind of build this thing, like the modern, you know, guys. And Jericho's the modern guy himself, but like the younger guys, and he can still do the unit stuff. He worked with Orange Cassidy. That went a long time or whatever. I went 11 weeks, I think.
Yeah, they did.
You know, he did the long thing with MJF.
Right.
He ended up in one of the most over things we've ever seen in the history of pro wrestling when he walks to the ring without his music and the whole crowd sings the song. If you tell me some shit that's ever happened like that, I think the mistakes of Jericho is just the quick change of directions.
Okay.
Where it's like, we're going to blow up the inner circle, but then just jump right into a new unit. And then like the way the unit disbanded this time was not satisfying. And I don't think it was necessarily satisfying with how they broke up the inner circle either. Mm-hmm. But I think Jericho, you know, he got to be the ROH champion, like a singles champion again. Kind of, he did great work with that.
It was absolutely great success.
You know, like I feel like he's kind of just reaching a natural point now. And it's like, all right, and he swung back around. What did he swing back around to? Kenny Omega, the first guy he ever worked with in AEW. So, like, I think this was something that was like, yeah, we're going to do the tag team with Kenny Omega. I don't know what would have necessarily been next had Kenny not, like, gone out with this. Mm-hmm. Whatever, if they do Jericho Omega 3 or whatever, if that was on deck or not. But I think, you know, people are just tired of him. And he has been overexposed to an extent, like, because he's consistently been there. He's toured, but he's never really taken big time, you know, like a 10-month period of him not being there, like Kenny Omega for injury.
And basically everyone has this been like a major contributor to the roster from day one, right. Like whether it's been injury or suspension or what have you, people have, or, you know, even rehab, people have taken breaks.
Yeah.
He hasn't.
The only real break he had was like, and he was still showing up on television, was when he dropped all that weight after his health scare in 2021.
Right.
And then he showed back up and didn't wrestle until I think March, which was at Revolution, but he showed up, you know, with the 6-pack and all that. So that was like the biggest amount of time he's had away. Could it be beneficial for him to like step back a little bit? Maybe. But I think he still has things he wants to do, like as far as like, you know, guys he wants to work with. And I think it would be, you know, he mentioned he wanted to work with Mark Briscoe. He said he wanted to work with Swerve. And I saw a lot of people just saying, oh yeah, you know, Swerve's hot right now. Of course Jericho wants to work with him. Jericho's always liked Swerve from day one. He's had him on his podcast twice, like in his always kind of like looked at Swerve as like off the Jericho tree. Right. So like,
you know why? You know why he likes him?
Because he's just like him.
No, well,
has a podcast, a musician, a wrestler.
Swerve, yeah. But I mean, like Swerve in NXT, like his like positive stuff as far as like the person that pushed him through is Shawn, not Triple H. It was like Triple H really didn't see it until later on. Of course Jericho likes like it's Triple H slander. Of course Jericho likes Swerve. Like,
Swerve in the proxy war. He's in the proxy war. Yeah. That's great.
You know, it's just like part of the influence. Like, oh, you're a Shawn guy. I'm a Shawn guy too. Cool. You ain't really fucking Triple H. Me neither. Yeah. Like, you know, it's a bunch of this. You know, it's a bunch of this.
That's funny. That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like what Jericho can do going forward, I I don't know, man. Like I feel like he's reached the conclusion of a lot of his natural arcs.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if you want to heat up him and Sammy Guevara, I think you could do it with a promo segment. But
is Guevara on paternity leave? Or is he injured?
Yeah.
Or is
concussion and paternity leave.
Both. Okay.
But I heard he was clear from his concussion. So like he might just be still, with child.
Because I remember during that match as it happened, I was like, bro, is he concussed? He looks loopy as hell. And then like he just continued wrestling. I was like, I guess not. Whatever. And then you find out the concussion is like, see, I knew his ass was out there not loopy. He's out here looking crazy.
He's dealing with Don Callis and all that.
Yep.
He can, he's going to need some help.
Who do you think they're going to pull off of the scrap heap to try to salvage this? Because it's not just a Jericho thing as far as Jericho going to be around. It's like without Jericho around, unless you're just going to let them dudes run. Without Omega around, unless you're just going to let Callis and his guys just
kill him.
Rough shop on Rampage. Until Omega and Kenny can team back up, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And it's like there's not a lot of great places to turn. All right.
Because people are kind of tied up in the, people he has relations with. He's
Continental Classic.
Yeah.
Could he get involved with Miro? Could he find something on Saturday nights to do? I don't know.
Post Continental Classic, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. Do you pull Kota Ibushi off the bench and say, "Hey, you're a team with Chris Jericho now"? I don't know how that would be.
Yeah.
There's got to be somebody that you can think of. And he's in a weird spot because it's all right, you continue going forward with Chris Jericho as a babyface. You could hard turn him and then have him work with, whoever. But
Zakamaki says you can end the Callis family because Kenny is going to be out for a while. But I don't think you can do that because there's too many guys that they've invested stuff into.
Tied up.
Just scrap the whole thing wholesale. They always want to push Hobbs with Collision when they started it. That's why they did the whole thing with him and Warlord to start it off with, right?
Look,
the start of Collision, not him and Warlord, but start off Collision. Takeshita got the win over Omega, and they were just hanging around with that. They had, they added Kyle Fletcher, and Fletcher is now the TV champion for ROH. It's they want to do something with that faction. Maybe they're waiting for BCC to all get out of the Continental Classic, and that's who they feud with in BCC or the baby faces. Because it seems like the leader would be doing it.
What if Chris Jericho talks Tony Khan and to let him be the devil? I don't even think. Look, I feel like Chris Jericho sees he makes smart decisions, but I don't think Chris Jericho he would see that coming a mile away. That is not a good idea. I don't think we have to worry about that. I was just saying.
You know what? Fine. Since we just come, can we just come up with bad? Even you find the worst idea. What if Matt Hardy was a devil? Let's come up with the worst and worst and worst ideas for the thing. Smart Mark Sterling is the devil.
Holy shit.
Not when I say this, because now do you see why regardless of whoever it is going to be eventually, it will not be satisfying. It is mystery box bullshit. It is overrated. It is overrated.
Could Jericho work with Jack Perry when he comes back? I don't think they've crossed paths in years.
Ooh, I don't remember them ever crossing paths.
10-minute time limit. Can you last 10 minutes with Chris Jericho?
That's right.
I think that might be something
that was
to explore.
Wasn't that the build up to Chicago Thanksgiving 2019 takeover or not takeover Dynamite?
That was the end of the year Dynamite.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I do that. Jack Perry and Chris Jericho at some point.
I mean, promo wise, Perry could use him to try to get up his chops to work across somebody and play off someone like Jericho. Absolutely.
That's the answer. Jack Perry.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess we can wrap it up, James. We kind of went off format a little bit,
yeah. You definitely did. We didn't talk about none of the shows. We just basically like talk about Continental Classic, which whatever else, and amongst other, and answering the mailbox, and talked about Omega and Okada, which is interesting because we talked about Omega and Okada like for the last 7 years.
They're always linked somehow.
Yeah,
man. It's our last episode of the year before FOH, and you won't hear from us until. Actually, no, it's not the last episode of the year. We're going to do probably an off-brand day show at some point. So I'll save the sappy speech for then and all that. But just make sure y'all check out the FOH. We want to smash last year's record and all that. It is a great show, and it is I think it's a huge roller coaster. There's funny shit you can't recreate anywhere except in the FOH environment. And it's like this, and it's like, there's a lot of gratitude at the end, and thank you guys for listening to the show, and thank you for supporting FOH in advance. So we'll wrap this up, man.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, y'all. If you're watching from the stream, you can go to the podcast show notes and find the link to the Red Circle to donate there. This other shows on the network besides One Nation Radio, Keepin It Strong Style, All Things Elite, and M's WWE Adventure. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace. Ho, ho, ho.